Welcome everybody to the Hellacious Hose
review Hazbin Hotel.
Yeah.
I'm Digiho.
Digiho, and I'm the best ho ever.
Yes. We came up with this on the spot, and it's working.
Yeah, it's good. It's
so
good.
Neither one of us had ever heard of this thing.
I have seen occasionally art from it, and I now understand what it is from, having now watched the show.
I had never seen anything until Jaxblade on Twitter tweeted a picture of the main girl when she transforms into like devil mode for a second, which happens during one of the songs. And all I thought was, I want to see this blonde devil girl.
Yeah, she's real cute.
That's my jam. And I gave it a shot. And it was pretty interesting, if nothing else, certainly interesting.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because for me, coming into this not having known it was happening at all, I was just like, did I just watch a 30-minute independent animation, like with like animation chops, you know? Like it was shocking that it felt like a full-blown. I mean, it looks better than a lot of pilots of cartoons that are actually on TV.
I happened to just watch from the Tales from the Bottom of the Mal anime seasonal charts, like some piece of shit I mean, this looks like 1,000 times better and more interesting and more provocative in all the good ways. So it absolutely was a captivating experience, and I am really interested. I would love to know, like, a full breakdown of the details as to exactly how this was put together. We were looking at the credits at the end, like Stamper's involved. I don't know, there was a whole bunch of people of names I recognized as part of what seems to be like the more indie animation industry.
Didn't we find out the Living Tombstone was
The Living
involved in this?
Tombstone did music to some degree along with some other people.
This is the design sense, the particular type of like horror that it calls to, that like smiling, everybody's like an over-the-top badass, and they all just murder each other senselessly. You know? Which vibes with me too. I like hell a lot as a setting.
It's a very good choice.
It got me interested to know that the show takes place in hell. The main character is the daughter of Satan, or Lucifer,
the king of hell, the princess of hell, whatever. Yeah.
And so just to talk about what this cartoon is, it's about the princess of hell in hell trying to start a hotel to rehabilitate demons. With the hope of their souls, leaving hell eventually.
I was interested to see like what the motivation for this would be, and it's so because there's always, when you've got characters in hell, is everyone like totally evil? We just want to murder and like kill and make each other suffer. She seems to have generally goodwill. She is sad because it seems that every year there's a purge because of overpopulation of hell. They need to extra double triple kill demons to evacuate the excessive souls that are occupying hell, because so many come. So she's trying to avoid having to like double murder them and be bad to them by saving them and sending them to heaven, where presumably this won't be an issue.
And of course everyone in hell is like, that's retarded.
And they don't give a shit. They
idiot.
think she's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, just on the face of it, it's kind of an interesting premise, and this is kind of the main question that the main character has and that everyone has that I kind of thought would be answered in episode 1. It's kind of like a premise question, but it's when you die as on Earth and go to hell, according to like Christianity or whatever, like that's because you have failed to pass like the moral test by God or whatever, and you've been condemned to an eternity of hell. So like, is it possible, is there any potential to leave hell? According to Christianity, I don't think so, but she's putting that to the test. Now, that's kind of a cool premise.
And I mean, that's kind of mentioned by the radio demon Alistair later on.
Yeah.
He says, they had their chance then.
Right.
Failure brings them here. So yeah, like nobody thinks that she can do it, and I think that what's interesting about this premise from a storytelling standpoint, because like this show, it's functioning as a pilot. It's very much one of those pilots that lets you know exactly what the everyday experience of this show is meant to be like. I think, which incidentally, like the second half of the episode, not really answering any questions like that, I think was because the first half of the episode more sets up the premise. The second half feels more like, here's what the show's going to be like. It's going to be this handful of goofy demons fucking with each other, singing songs, and you've got this radio demon character who's a very Discord-esque figure.
He sure is.
He just he can seemingly do anything, create all kinds of chaos. and he's a real bad dude.
I suspect he will be basically the main driving point of almost every major event in the entire show. I
would have to imagine.
Because he's so overpowered. And I mean, if you look into the history of the character a little, we were just looking this up, Vivian M, or whatever the name of the lady who developed this whole project, this was like her, like one of her like original like Sonichu level OG OCs from high school that has like now materialized like a decade or so later as like the most powerful entity in her new show. Obviously, this is a beloved character to her that she wants to make real.
Which is especially funny to me because his design is so edgy, it hurts. Like, it's all black and red with the top hat. We're talking Toon Critic Y2K.
Hell yeah.
Made material.
The Toon Storm is here at long last.
I can't wait to see Mage's art of this character, which I know will happen.
That will happen, won't it?
Because he's like a combination of like Discord and what's his name from Metaton. He's got like a little bit of a Metaton.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
In that he's like this
Undertale
over the top. Well, I mean, it's implied he is the radio demon. I assume he puts on some kind of show. He seems to be into showmanship. I don't know if he does a show in Hell, because like Hell show business seems to be like, I don't know if it's just because it's Hell. Show business is naturally.
You've got Angel Dust, the porn star in Hell. That's like clearly that's something that happens.
We're introduced to news anchors. She tries to get her show launched through the news. So it just feels like there's a lot of show business characters kind of around. I don't know if that's like a major thing going forward or what, or if it's just incidental. But yeah, like the thing that makes these character designs work for me, because like something like Alistair, like when I was looking at the pictures of this show online, I think the main girl, whose name I don't remember, Charlie is adorable. I like the really dark circles around the eyes,
mascara or whatever.
Just the big, huge, expressive eyes and everything. She's got blonde hair, so she's cute. But when I saw like Alistair, I was like, no, like
not a fan.
Not gonna be my kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just the sheer over-designed edginess of it.
That's kind of the theme of the show. Yeah.
But I will say that, and you know, the characters they all kind of range from like more humanoid, less over the top, to like really over the top. And it's funny because you were reading an interview with her, I think, the creator, where she said she wasn't that into anime. But these felt so anime in the cluttered nature of the designs.
The main inspiration, watching, like, both the animation style, I feel it's mostly drawn from that. Like, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was the #1 show, especially with, like, the monster designs in that show. I mean, I'm not sure of her, like, animation history or, like, whoever's involved doing character designs. I assume it's her or whatever. It felt like very, I don't know, of that era, with, I don't know, all that kind of Cartoon Network eccentric characters doing wacky things, Western animation style. That felt like the most, I don't know, like the most, or the place where most of the soul derived from for the project or something. And this project obviously noticeably, significantly more edgy in every aspect. Sex and drugs and swears are everywhere, and that's fine. What did you think of that aspect of it?
Well, let's get to that in a minute. So
Okay.
Talk about the design.
Sure.
But another thing that's interesting to me about the show is that I know the show is going to be very popular, especially.
It already is, but yeah.
I think tons of people are going to have lots of different reasons that they love this show. And to me, the thing that made it the most exciting to watch by far is the facial expressions. Just the sheer amount of animation in the facial expressions and just movement. The way characters move is constantly exciting and fun. They're moving all over the place. It's very like, it's kind of unkempt. It's like they almost tried to shove so many expressions in there that some of them are like go one into another, like a character like experiencing a whole range of emotions through animation.
Sometimes slightly to a detriment, I'd say, because they kind of can run over each other.
It can be weird sometimes, and the animation isn't all clean.
Did you notice? I mean, it's not really a problem. And I don't even want to lay too much of a criticism on this, but because I did love watching much of it. But things are so amazingly edited sometimes, and then other times it feels like, oh, this was the place where we kind of just needed to have her standing around talking on the phone. And it didn't look bad, but just, As opposed to something like
the perspective shots in particular at that moment you're talking about were probably the worst looking part of the episode. When she's on the phone and it like shows her from above and then from different angles. And like the characters also sometimes are awkward transitioning from like standing up to sitting down or like but I mean, and there's a quote at the end of this video, at the end of the video on YouTube that says something to the effect of like, you know, animation is less about technique and more about the soul of what you're trying to convey, essentially. That's not the exact quote, but whatever. And like, I think they did a good job of that. Like, yes, there is a lot of, you know, there's a lot of like little wonkiness in the episode, but like my takeaway from the episode was not at all, oh, that looks awkward and like it had a lot of animation errors, which is usually the case when I watch internet independently produced animation, because I'm a fucking stickler, you know, I'm gonna notice everything wrong. In this case, I came away feeling like, holy fuck, I can't believe they drew so many expressions, you know, I can't believe the characters moved so much, especially in what looks like, you know, a Flash cartoon. It has moments where it's not so like, you know, highly intensely animated, but like sometimes the characters are just going crazy. Every single word has a different facial expression, like a different particular face to match that word, which is very in that like Ren and Stimpy or Cow and Chicken kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And Hot Diggity Demon, you know, for internet creators who are influenced by that stuff. Just the like really laying onto every word in both the voice acting and the visuals. And like that combination is what made the characters work. Like a character like Alistair the Radio Demon, I just at a glance don't like him at all. Okay. But like hearing him talk and with that interesting effect they put on his voice, which I'm a huge fan of those kinds of effects.
I was going to bring that up.
I do that in my own music and stuff, you know. So like the fact that he had the effect on his voice and the way his head would just kind of like, you know, go to the side sometimes, or his smile might just widen a little bit. You can like see that he's feeling more than he's saying, you know, and it makes the character feel more interesting because you feel like you're kind of in his head without having to have him constantly talking or anything like that, even though he does talk a lot.
He sure does.
And there's there's some cool visual effects as well, like when he's like, oh, if I had wanted to kill anybody in here, I already would have.
That was my favorite moment in the entire production.
Yeah, what is that called? Because it's like
static,
that
meme. Glitch.
Well, there's that meme of like when the text goes more and more fucked up, and then there's like a visual version of that. There was a name for that meme, but I don't remember it.
I mean, I was gonna say cool. That the animation, all the fundamental stuff, having all the different facial expressions and the amount of movement and whatnot, that is great. But I was gonna say, kind of my favorite thing was, I remember that one moment with Alistair and the crazy radio effects, everything spazzing out. That was like the highlight for me. There's other little moments where like you've got Charlie, just like she's outside looking inside, and like the glow of the windows, like that's not something you can do with just simple 2D animation. You have to do like 3D effects to achieve. And I really liked stuff like that, and I felt like they put so much production value on top of just raw animation skill and whatnot into it. And I mean, to me, technically, I'm just blown away kind of by all that effort.
I mean, like it looked like a TV show.
Sure did.
It like boggled my mind a little bit, because it's not that we don't have like edgy cartoons. It's not that we don't have cartoons that have tried to bring the animation a little bit more, and especially right now on Toonami, you know, you got like Primal fucking coming out, you know about that, right?
I haven't seen it.
Gendy Tartakovsky's new show, you know, Samurai Jack came back. Like there's shows that are trying to do interesting stuff with like Flash animation and in the West, but like to see one with this particular aesthetic that is so internet, you know, that reminds me of like people making Vocaloid songs or something, you know? And like there's been tons of great animation made for stuff like that online, but this is a full 30-minute show pilot with tight editing, and like it felt like a real show. And I mean, this is not really a high compliment from me, really. Like I'm just saying it is up to the level of an actual TV show, as you would hope.
Yeah. But
it's still like it's the kind of thing that like after you watch it, when you're looking at the credits and you're just thinking about it, you're like, fuck, man, that was like a real show. Was that really an independent animation?
It was deeply impressive, and that's why I'm curious as to exactly how this is put together. Where did they get the money? How did they make all these connections to all these people I know online? This is quite stupendous that this was able to be created.
But like it also was the kind of thing where I watched the first episode and I thought it was good and entertaining, but like, would I watch a whole show of this? That's really where like I don't know if this show would pass the 3-episode test. I would need 2 more episodes.
With this, I'm okay. You're getting to a thing I want to say, because this is divided into 2 sections. There's technical, the production, all that stuff. Then there's narrative critiques that one can make. Okay, and on that subject, let me just say that as you were saying, the ending of the episode, we, as you said, at the beginning of the show, we developed our main character Charlie. We understand what's going on with the basic premise: Hell trying to redeem hellish souls, see if that's even possible. That question of can demon souls even be redeemed is kind of, narratively, that's the core and that's the most important aspect of what these characters are actually doing day to day. And I feel like at the end of the day, if there was a whole season made of this, that would be by far the most important question to be discussed, addressed, like every episode. And as a guy who's always hungry for, like, okay, I enjoy all the aesthetics, but how are we moving this plot along towards the next step? That's always on my mind. Yeah. That's the thing that I want more meat on. And I was really hoping that at the end of this episode, which is like a prologue setting the stage, I was really hoping that question would be addressed and answered in a positive way, like a panty and stocking episode 1 thing, where we see the big crazy epic thing, whatever, the demon gets destroyed, they go to heaven, and then the narrative would have then been like, okay, now every episode we're going to try to redeem X demon, in some way. Clearly they're taking a different path of we're going to hang out with this crew and explore, is it possible to redeem any of these bad people? And the only negative on this, I feel like the first approach I was detailing kind of gives an opportunity to meet more characters and dig into their little narratives like every episode. Whereas with this approach, the reason I'm a little bit less excited is, like, with what I know about the creator now and like her devotion to some of these characters, she does like a live stream with Angel Dust or something. She seems really into these characters. I'm not that into any one of these characters,
right.
And I don't really love the idea of spending like a full season like sitting with these guys, getting to know their so amazing personalities. Because, and this ties into the other thing, a lot of the jokes of these characters are not like amazing or blowing me away. Angel Dust really loves sex. Are you laughing yet?
Yeah. He
said sex again, guys. He'll suck your cock. It's not bad. It's not terrible, but intellectual content, please. I need some more. I want to have a reason to care.
Yeah, it's
a pilot. I'm not trying to judge too quickly, but
I'll say
yeah.
When it comes to edgy shit, I love edgy shit, and I love swears, especially. I thought the swearing, in particular, was well done in this show. Because I've seen a lot of shows where the swearing comes off more forced, or just not, like, in this, there's a lot of impact in the swears. Like, they're definitely laying into it. They want you to know they're saying fuck. But it didn't come off awkward to me. It came off, like, funny, like it was a well-placed fuck bomb and stuff,
On that specific point, because that's interesting, I felt that some of the characters, this might vary. I was curious about, like, who exactly was voice acting. Some of the characters I thought sounded not nearly as good as other ones, and I was curious if they got, like, more versus less experienced voice actors for these. Some of the swearing I thought was extremely well done and had no problems, and loved it, right? I'm a big swearing guy myself, thought it was great. Others, I was like, I have no problem with swears. I just felt a little bit like try hard. I
guess the one I appreciated the most was the news anchor lady. I thought she was pretty. Just the delivery of her lines was funny. It had tons of personality for a character who's like a bit player. The main girl, I liked her voice acting for the most part, but there were a few lines that were not even to do with the swears, but there were some just like lines that were somewhat awkward, and sometimes I think it was because of the writing. There's the part where she calls her mom. There's a part where she's like, I know you've been busy, very busy, and it's kind of like, as soon as she said, I know you've been busy, I had already thought, oh, okay, like her mom's not around.
Subtlety is the goal
exactly.
here.
And then when she says very busy, it's like, okay, well, you didn't need to lay into that. I got it. I picked up on it right away, and it sounds way cornier, because why would she say that? Like, nobody says errantly that on the phone to their mom.
If you actually say that to your mom, you sound like you're attempting to be an asshole if you actually say that to the person you're calling.
It was just really corny, and, I mean, her character is corny. I mean, we have to address, there's a bunch of songs I did not like any of the songs in this episode.
I thought they were okay. I might be more of like a musical number guy than you are in shows like this, because I've always been a big fan. I was not blown away by any. Thought they were okay. That's pretty much where I landed.
Let's be completely clear here. For anybody watching this, just looking for a Hazbin hotel review, you see two guys talking shit about singing. Whatever.
Bunch of fucked up white guys lecturing the world about their anime.
The two of us were literally My Little Pony reviewers.
Indeed.
We did. That's how we launched our careers. We are now independent content creators on the internet on the basis of being My Little Pony reviewers.
Indeed.
We loved the fucking songs. You covered some of the songs.
Several of them in my own videos and other things. Yeah.
I was involved in covers of some of the songs. So nothing against songs in a show. The songs in this show definitely gave me My Little Pony vibes. Just with the type of songwriting and just the way the girl's voice sounded. The way it was mixed with the voice acting way above the music. Very clean. I just thought that the lyrics were mostly corny and not very interesting. It didn't do much to add to the scenarios and storylines.
And that's the main thing that you love about a really good song in a show. Moves the plot forward. I mean, this is a common thing people talk about with musicals and how people get frustrated with when a musical has a number that simply says, I am happy. Song proceeds to be simply restating that I am happy. That can be boring. When there's a song kind of like, Winter Wrap Up is a great example from early My Little Pony that details an entire, like you learn about a narrative, characters progress during the song, events are transpiring. Much better usage of a song, in my opinion. I hate to just be stagnated. And none of the songs were particularly... There was some events that transpired during songs, but they were a little bit more in the former camp than the latter. And I didn't just love the songs too much.
I mean, there were three songs. The first one starts off the episode. That one in particular did nothing... Like, first of all, did nothing for me and kind of had me on the back foot starting
That's probably my favorite song of all of them.
I mean, I thought that lyrically, it's basically just someone saying, like, I've been a failure. I hope to be good sometime. I don't care. Like, it didn't do anything for me. I didn't really care for the
But at least
animation
the visuals were showing us new things at the time.
But they were very... I couldn't interpret what the fuck it all was.
It was like all, like foreshadowing. You see a little bit of a character we'll learn about later.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, I can see.
That part of it, like, I mean, the early part of it is like this alternate animation style with like the black on white that just kind of seems to be like a bunch of kind of helly stuff, you know? Like, I didn't get the sense... for a second, I thought maybe it was showing the backstory of something, you know? Like, it felt like a backstory scene, but then it didn't seem to be. Then, watching it the second time, I thought maybe this is, like, what it looks like when an extermination is happening. Or something. Because it seems like... And I didn't even catch on the first time I watched the episode that an extermination had just happened. Like watching it a second time, you see the clock says like
it's been 0 days since our last extermination. Then
and
turns over,
the town's all in ruins. But I just thought it's hell, so it just looks like that. You know, I had no reason to think something had changed about hell when it was introducing it. So just all around, like, you know, the second time watching the episode, because I saw it twice, I was like, oh, okay, the extermination has just happened. But the song lyrics still didn't do anything for me, and I thought the song was boring and slow. And
gotta get Daniel Ingram up in there to spice up them lyrics, dog.
Not that he's even like amazing, but like I thought the vocal melodies were for the most part fine. The musical backing was really just generic and kind of shoddy in my opinion. Like I didn't think there was anything special about any of the songs that would make them stand out. No like noteworthy chord progressions or melodies or anything that musically interesting. It was mostly about the performance of the singing and the vocals, and then I just didn't think the lyrics were that great on top of it. It's like she goes to sing about the hotel and she's just kind of restating what she's just said emotionally
now via
about
song,
it. And then it goes into like high gear and it becomes like a rock song, and that part is better. It's better sounding. It's more fun, but she's also talking so fast you can just barely understand what she's saying.
I could not understand what she was saying. I could not. And that's a big minus for a song.
The only times I could was because the visuals were literally showing what she's saying. But even then, it would take me a second to fully parse because it's a lot of shit going on.
The mania kind of seemed like it was maybe part of the point. Like she's... I don't, because the characters say when you sing songs, people don't understand you. Maybe perhaps this was an intentional, we're not just pretending to be retarded, we are retarded, canonically.
I think they wanted it to be very bombastic. Like, I think the idea of it was, like, we're going to have it cut from, like, a soft song into a rock song. It's going to start going really fast, and all this wacky animation's going to be happening. And the animation gets wacky and crazy, but it's cutting between so many different things, and if you could very clearly understand what she was saying, then you would immediately be able to parse the image. But since the images are already complex and going very fast, and you're trying to parse what she's saying, it's like you get like one in every third. You're like, oh, that's funny. Oh, okay, that's a thing. Wait, what did she say there? You know?
I kind of wanted, I didn't do this, I might yet do this, but I kind of wanted to go back. I feel like this song, maybe this isn't the way you're supposed to, I wanted to go through, like, pause, observe the image, go a little further, pause. I feel like that's, watching this a couple of times and, like, really digging into it would be the best way to appreciate this song. And perhaps that's a mark against it, or maybe it's a mark for it if you like doing that sort of stuff.
I mean, and I'll also say, so there was a GIF, if you will allow me to pronounce it thus.
It's a jife, as I recall.
There's a GIF where it's the shot of her, like, going helly for a second, and Jax Blade had posted that both on Twitter and YouTube, and I just sat there and watched it, like, a lot of times.
It looked amazing.
I watched it like 12 times before I had watched the show, and when you see that moment in the song, what actually happens is that she's saying, like, you're in hell, and when she says hell, her demon lights up, you know, and she gets all sexy and fucking demonic looking. And it just lasts like a second. But as much as I love that animation moment, the song does not sell it. Like, it should be that when she says hell, there should be, like, a lot of stink on it, and, like, you hear maybe, like, a flaming sound effect in the music or something. But it's kind of like the imagery is way more interesting than what's going on sonically at that part, and it continues that way as she's describing no more this, no more that in hell, and she once again, like, goes into demon eyes every time she says one of these things. And I just felt like the music needed more impact to match the visuals, which had a ton of impact in that moment. I also just need to see more of her in demon mode.
I was just gonna say, when I was saying before, so when it comes to, like, a sort of unfulfilled promise of kind of what I would want to explore in the pilot, the things that I had seen before, her demon mode was, like, the number one thing I was craving more of, because her classic design is super cute, but something about it's super cute juxtaposed against her vicious, like, demonic form, and I am craving seeing what that's about. If I was the one writing this, if it was up to me,
it's not just a visual joke, you know.
Like, it may well be. We just don't know.
That would be very sad if that is the case.
I'm kind of expecting her to, you know, go ghost at some point and go like she's the princess of hell, right? That implies good things about her power levels and, you know, it's gonna be over 9,000 and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. Remember that, you guys? Do you remember this joke?
I never thought about the idea that she would be, like, very powerful because she's the princess of hell, but
that's what they do, right? That's what they do.
Matter in this world. Like, Alistair is explicitly, like, more powerful than their, like, elder gods or whatever.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. And here's another odd thing about this show. So we know the main point is that she's trying to rehabilitate people, but there's also this background idea that I guess there's all these different, like, districts of hell, and hell is, like,
which I love. It's a pentagram.
It is
which
a pentagram,
pretty dope.
And so I guess each area would be a different part of the pentagram. And there's all these, like, gangs essentially that are trying to take over.
They're doing Splatoon turf warfare.
More like Endless War.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole
they ripped off Endless War. God damn it!
Definitely feels like the way that Ben would draw.
It feels exactly the same.
New Milwaukee.
The dimensional merge is upon us.
Yeah, it is happening.
Yeah.
Chris predicted. Oh shit! Our fucking. I don't know how long ago that happened.
Any guess?
Probably, like, hopefully not 10 minutes ago, but hopefully less than that.
We'll have a black screen and we'll have some little boys moving around.
Yeah, well, what I plan to have happening on the screen is the show, and then also flames from hell behind us. So we'll
just have us, like, freeze frame at our last frame or whatever.
Yeah, we'll just freeze on screen. Anyway, so so there's all these gangs, like, fighting over hell. And, like, that's the main thrust of the action that's happening throughout the episode. Is, like, we've got this girl who's friends with the gay porn actor.
Yep.
Does he have tits?
I believe he does seem to be hermaphroditic in character, including tits. Yes, I believe so.
Seems like he's got tits. But there's a girl who he's friends with who's like like an aspiring gangster, I
Cherry
guess.
Bomb was her name. Cherry Bomb was the girl, and like Snake Man was the guy.
Yeah, there's the evil snake dude, and he's just like a mobster who's taken over.
Yeah.
These characters seem, they have so far
nothing to do
no
with the
personality plot or any intrigue at all. They
Yeah.
are just gangsters who are fighting. I don't know if that's going to be important going forward, because it's the snake guy comes back at the end of the episode, so clearly he's like a major character.
He's gonna be like the Team Rocket of the show. I'm estimating he'll always show up to be foiled.
What situations is he gonna show up to foil? And we already have fucking Alistair. Like,
yeah,
is he just gonna end up in the hotel? Will he be one of the people rehabilitated? I mean, we see a ton of future potential characters in like the opening bit. So I don't know how many characters are planned for this show, but it feels like a lot.
I mean, it's worth questioning. So this is like a pilot, right? So this isn't even potentially like the full real show that could exist on like Cartoon Network. It can't exist on Cartoon Network. It's too vulgar.
But they can just edit the swears.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it seems like the spirit of the creator wouldn't want. I don't know. I don't know her repertoire or her modus operandi. But I just, like, is this the exact concept that's going to be continued forward in a series? Or is it going to change in some way? Or is it going to, like, add new characters? Or, I don't know, maybe cut some of the old ones or something? Probably not. It feels like a finished version at this point.
I just feel like, because speaking as somebody who's come up with lots of original characters and who has put all of those characters into fictional cities referred to by names such as the end of the world and put them all into gangs and had them fight because I wanted to create a setting where a bunch of people with powers, hurt each other all the time.
That's the way to do it.
In a chaotic city. This is not new.
Yeah.
This is not a new idea. I get the sense that like the desire to depict like a chaotic hell full of wacky characters blowing each other up may in some way impede the desire to create a story about redemption in the hearts of a bunch of demons.
I feel that juxtaposition is almost certainly intentional in the narrative, though, to create disincentives. Like, there are two opposing spirits in the souls of the demons. I think we can all guess that based on the nature of the story, there probably will be some potential to save demons, or else what would be the point of this story?
And that reminds me of fucking like way back. I was going to talk about the particular elements of construction in this story that I think it was crafted around an interesting character, like the way that the main character is Charlie. I don't know if she was crafted before or after the idea for this story came about, but like if you're gonna set a story in hell and the idea is that everyone is totally insane and beyond redemption, then the only character who would ever come up with something like this has to be like an over-the-top, saccharine, emotional type person. And so it's interesting because it creates this vibe where the show, the world, the setting, the characters, all of that is as crass and don't give a fuck as possible.
Makes sense.
The only reason that any kind of redemption story or any kind of more emotional storytelling or the songs could happen in this show is because Charlie's the main character, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like... she is the entire crux of making something emotional happen in this show. So the question is, can she bring out those emotions in other characters? And if so, though, I also know this will lead to sappy, saccharine singing scenes, which is what I'm also concerned about. Because well earned. I like the element of it just being crass insanity, but the idea of me having to like watch her sing sad songs about trying to redeem people does not appeal to me.
That all depends on how it's done, though. I mean, based on the songs so far, they're good. I'm not overly looking forward to any of the musical numbers or whatever that's going to happen, but I think it absolutely could be done well. I mean, imagine an arc where, like, the sex guy, what's his name, sex buddy, whatever the fuck his name is, Angel Dust, where Angel Dust, even in this episode, we already saw there were moments where Angel Dust is like, oh no, are you okay? Yeah. But then he like pulls himself back because he's a demon.
He kind of cares, but he's like, whatever. I don't want to bother myself with this.
We can see the seeds being sown of him caring or something, and so like we'll probably get his backstory at some point. We'll get like an arc about how he decides to change or something, and then like you could absolutely like you have like a song about how I love fucking, I love being a bad person and sinning, but then what you do is you do like a, not a key change, but you do a refrain of that song where you take the same melody, but then you make it sappy, and then it's like, oh, we're making like a beautiful emotional package, repackaging his love for fucking and turning into a fucking love and switching the words so you make like an emotional climax to this redemptive story that is totally satisfying. And it all just depends on the way it's done. It's all about the writing. You can make any story good if you write it correctly. So that's it. It's just a matter of how they do it, I guess.
All right, Hazbin Hotel writers, you know where to find him if you want to hire this man.
Call me up. I'll help you out. Boys, we can make this thing happen. Ladies, we can do it. I've got ideas, big ideas.
Okay, so aside from, I think we've covered most of the broad strokes of our feelings about this. So due to the nature of this show and the fan base, I think that it would only be appropriate if we talked about each character and how we feel about those characters.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
How about Charlie, main character?
Charlie, very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I like her, like, over exerting, like the fact that she does not listen to her friend and is just like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna sing anyways. I express myself better that way.
I'm glad she's not a pushover bitch. That would be terrible.
Yeah, and she said, her dad told her, don't take shit from any other demons.
Yeah, that's good. That was an endearing moment.
I like that she has this ability to like get excited and go demon mode, and I really want more of that. I want less crying, less singing, unless it's more badass singing. I want her to be more like a manic demon. I want her to be more up to the level of the insanity of the other characters.
Sure. Which she is currently, because she's the lovey-dovey, semi-stable one. She's forcibly below everybody else. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree.
She's got this lesbian friend.
Seemingly. I don't know if they're like lesbians together. Is that the intention?
I mean,
I think so.
The episode is like darting all these like she's gay at you, like here and there without saying it, But I think she likes Charlie for sure. But she just comes off as the straight man. She's
boring. Yeah. Mobs or Bobs or whatever the fuck her name was.
She would need, I think it was Bags.
Bags, that sounds right.
Because we thought it was Vags.
Vags, as in vaginas? Like they're really on the nose about the lesbian thing, I guess.
But she would have to really do anything at all to be made interesting. I also think she has the worst design. Because of the stupid X on the
eye that goes over the hair at all times.
Really stupid to me, and also she just looks bad in profile. And there's a lot of like kind of jank profile faces, but her in particular, her face does not work in profile at all. And
she serves her purpose.
There's got to be a way to modify her design to make it just animate better. I don't know. Like I'm surprised at these because in the world of animation, you have to kind of create characters who can be animated, and like the kind of the sort of loose bloobiness of these characters lends itself to that well. It's maybe even comparable to like Sushio's Kill La Kill designs a little bit in that regard. The faces certainly animate well, but I really did not think that character specifically was good for the type of animation they're trying to do with this show. Maybe some modification. Then there's there's Alistair, Radio Demon guy. He's fun. I just think he could be really overbearing and over the top because of the fact that like clearly he's agent of chaos / does whatever he wants guy. He's so far beyond comprehension that I can't really imagine him having a redemptive arc or any like deeper characterization.
He could have some deeper characterization, I suppose. Anyone theoretically could. I get based on this and the history I looked up, I get red flags of special snowflake syndrome. Like this character is going to be treated like they're the coolest guy ever. There's never going to be anything negative that happens to them. They're not going to be able to take them. I mean, he takes himself fairly lightly, but I criticize lots of characters for being just like too cool and too favored and too many good things, and they're responsible for like everything in the narrative. Even that wouldn't necessarily be so bad, even if he's the one who pushes the narrative all the time. But I don't know. There's just right ways and wrong ways to do it to avoid him becoming an obnoxious, like tiresome character to do everything.
His song I thought was totally unnecessary.
It was absolutely unnecessary, but it was like kind of cool. So I guess enjoyed having it there.
That one...
It got awkwardly cut off at the end, too. Intentionally,
and it doesn't have as much of the second song had some really cool visuals. His song, like, it had some unique visuals, but, like, if the idea was supposed to be that he was, like, sprucing up the hotel, I would have liked to see some, like, you know, just shots of, like, rooms getting transformed or something. And, like, oh, now it looks like this, and, like... You know, some sense of narrative progress happening in this song where he just
kind of did the
be...
Disney thing of summoning a band and then they sang a song
and like he had already done, like there was already several scenes of him like summoning people to the bar, like, you know,
they should have combined those.
Yeah,
combine those things. That's the way to do it and make it perfect.
We have a bartender character gets introduced who he'll probably be around. He's a furry also.
Yep, that's
degeneracy. Speaking of degeneracy, Angel Dust, what do you think of him?
You know, Angel Dust is the character who's set up as to be like the main one who we're attempting to redeem in these ways. Yeah. And I agree, sex before marriage, not allowed. Don't do it, kids. I don't know. As like, judging from like there's a couple angles to view them. One is just like his arc. He's like a sex fiend. That's funny. That like amuses me to be in like this kind of animated style. Yeah. How coarse he is. I think he's a little bit. I find his jokes about that to be a little bit unfunny at times, and he wears on my patience by just. It's just like this is his only thing. It's just like his one thing that he fucks so much. It's like it gets a little tiresome, but. I appreciate that he's seeming to have some deeper elements, more so than any other character. He's the only one so far who's had any spark of like, I could also maybe have a little bit more to me than just being an evil demon guy. So I guess I'm kind of looking forward to seeing more of him. But,
I like how his porn that they showed is called like, okay, sure. Or something like that.
That's the name of the porn?
Name of the porn that you get the sense that he will just fuck whoever.
He'll do anything. He doesn't give a shit, yeah.
He's... Yeah. I think I like the fact that he's like a sex fiend. Him also being like, I don't know, gunning people down in the streets and everything. It's like... Yeah.
I feel like everybody does that in hell. That's
another
activity.
Reason that it's like very Rowdy Fuckers Cop Killers-esque.
Yeah.
That like everybody's just fighting
everybody.
All the time.
You can mine for slime. You can go home to the wife and kids, but you got to hit the streets and murder some people every day. Yeah.
But yeah, it's his character was fun. I especially like the way he's animated, which reminded me of Randall from Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
When he's like crawling around the limo and just like. Again, like one of my favorite moments in this show are when characters are they're just saying their line, but they're like contorting their whole bodies and doing all this stuff and making all these expressions while they're talking. So it might be that he's just like cracking a joke, but like the particular way he's moving around while doing it is like weird and jarring and interesting. And you know, that was like some of the characters who, like, when I think about what they did or said, I'm like, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
But when I think about how they were animated, like the newswoman, you know, her voice and animation, the way that she keeps, like, cracking her neck and random things, like, she's always just, like, breaking shit and stabbing things, like, while she's talking and just punctuating her lines is, you know...
You know, when they do things like that as, like, a part of their character, like that news lady cracking her neck, that I kind of like. When they're just moving and it's not really adding anything, I can enjoy it. Sometimes it can just feel a little bit, like, distracting from what else is going on. So, again, it just matters on kind of the way it's done. And this had so much going on, especially in the second song. I kind of felt overwhelmed at times.
It's... there's one moment that particularly stuck out to me for, like, effort reasons, which is where when the snake guy comes back at the end of the episode, and there's just one shot of everybody reacting to his arrival.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like you see like 6 characters for less than a second, and all of them just their expression changes slightly.
You know, that took like a day or two of a team animating to make that one thing happen.
So much to take in, because the first time I watched the episode, I only really caught Alistair's face, and he just kind of looks like even happier. He's like, you know. The second time I happened to catch Charlie's face, just where my eyes happened to be when this happened, because it's so fast. And I was like, God damn, like, they really animated all 6 of them reacting? But then I also kind of thought, why? Like, why would all 6 of them have a reaction to this that was distinct from one another? Or maybe they were all reacting the same way. I couldn't even tell.
As a man who has been known to just straight up put too much work into projects and over-animate them, I felt some symptoms of that cruel, cruel disease in this show. And I think that if this continued, I think that would inevitably have to drop, and they would have to kind of
this
smooth
is a
some
pilot
things out.
episode that they assumedly
Just, so,
had
like, go nuts.
as
It's a
long
pilot.
as they
Fuck it.
possibly wanted to make it.
I looked, by the way, on the channel that over a year ago, the trailer for this came out. It's funny that a trailer would come out, and then over a year, the actual project does. But, there we are. I guess that was in order perhaps to drive up hype, which it certainly did. Now that we're looking at all these people who've been talking about it for years and months. Makes sense.
Snake Demon guy, though, he had a pretty cool design.
I liked his design, yeah.
There's a moment where he, like, chains up, what's his fucking, Angel Dust, and throws him, and he's like, oh, like, harder, daddy, and the guy goes, son? And I couldn't, I thought, like, maybe he was actually realizing it was his son for a second.
You know, with that joke.
It just seems like he just got confused.
With that joke, I thought that just the sex guy said daddy when he chained him up. I was like, just kill me. I fucking hate this. Yeah. But then, with the reversal of son, I was actually like, that's actually funny. You actually did something good to redeem that moment. And I don't know. I don't know what was exactly being implied by that. Could it be that character, you get characters who are just so dumb that they just like, he said daddy, so he must be my child?
I think that's what they were going for.
I think that's what it was.
He seems really dumb.
Yeah.
Cherry Bomb left no impression on me whatsoever. She was just a Cyclops girl in ripped tights.
There's nothing else to say about her. She fights, that's cool. All right, whatever.
Yeah, well,
I think that's pretty much it. Oh, there was that new maid who showed up in the middle of that song, or before the song.
Oh, the lolly girl.
She had a great design.
She was fun.
I liked her.
I liked her design and her personality, because she shows up and she's just like...
Was she wanting to, like, fuck men instantly? Was that the implication?
She was just like, why are there no men? This is weird. And then she's like, this place needs a lady's touch, which is weird, because you're all ladies.
Now, bear with me here.
She clearly did not realize that Angel Dust is not a lady.
I'm just curious. Is this a show... I don't know anything about the creator's personality. Is this a show, like, about lesbians, for lesbians, by lesbians? I'm just wondering if that's what this show is.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
doesn't really
obviously
matter.
Angel Dust is not a lesbian. He does seem to have tits, though.
He's half a lesbian.
I guess.
At least half, maybe a quarter.
Got a lot of arms, too.
Whatever.
Take care of whatever he needs to. You know?
That's true.
He does, in fact, grow an extra pair of arms in one scene.
It seems like many of them can do that, but yeah, I saw him do it. I think Snake Guy does it.
Yeah, I don't know what the limitations of the powers are in this world.
I do like an ironed out. I mean, there's different types of shows. I really do like an ironed out, like, power system, Hunter x Hunter style, or whatever.
You're gonna
but
love
this is not
Volume 2 of my light novel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Volume 2, convoluted magic bullshit.
All right.
Keep an eye out. It'll be out after you leave.
Looking forward to it.
Write the rest of it. So, like, okay, parting thoughts on this. I like the setting. I like a lot of the character personalities. I think I love the animation being so crazy, but it doesn't have to be this crazy. The biggest thing, and I like most of the voice acting. There are a couple awkward moments. I would say, my advice to whoever's editing it ultimately would be like, if you hear a good performance but one line sticks out, cut that line. Like, I thought when she was talking to her mom, you could easily have cut the very busy, because the delivery of the line before that was good enough that you got the point, you know?
Perhaps the director's Tarantino-esque and demands every line be maintained.
Yeah, well, again, this is a 31-minute pilot. I have to imagine if we were cutting things for time, we might cut the Lovecraft monster attacking the blimp at the end. Totally pointless.
Looked cool, but was pointless. I guess it established
to show off that Alistair can do that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
We already can. By that point, we know he can do anything. Like, don't need to be proven. Maybe cut some of the random action and stuff like that. But my biggest complaint going forward is, if you're gonna do songs, we need better music. None of the music in this at all stuck out to me. None of it was particularly memorable or gripping. None of the melodies stuck out. None of these songs are going to be stuck in my head. They don't progress the narrative enough through the singing. If it's going to be a musical, I want it to be, the songs contribute something to the story and don't feel like... This episode could have had no songs, and I don't think it would have changed much of anything.
That's true.
So, tighten that up. That's the biggest thing I would say. But I would watch another episode, for sure. I definitely am curious. I don't know... My biggest fear would be that the plot mostly ends up being Alistair makes a bunch of funny things happen, and the characters have to react to it, you know, or deal with it. And that we wouldn't get meaningful character progression, or if we did, it would be overly sappy and corny and song-filled. Those would be my concerns, but, you know, maybe it's completely not like that at all.
I guess we'll only know going forward. I mean, my main... when it comes to this project, again, I don't know a ton about the production, and it kind of matters what the production is for this point, but it's like, it's hard to be too critical of something this amazingly produced with this much love and effort, seemingly made by a bunch of, like, random people on the internet. These people are very well known, a lot of the people who were involved, but this is easily over professional level. This is like, I don't want to say Disney level, but you know, this is extremely high level animation, incredible effort, incredible love put into it. So to criticize at all makes you look like an asshole, makes you look like, oh, did you want to cut that one line? Well, what about the animators who animated that line? They worked so hard.
The animation
and, you know,
doesn't look that good in that scene.
Well, okay, I agree.
I mean, I think the animators themselves would be well aware that the perspective can be wonky, that the profile shots don't always look good. Like, I mean, there's a lot. If you really want to cover every fucking piece of ground in an animation, there's a lot to cover. And, like, my advice also, you know, think about Japanese animation, where, granted, a lot of it is fucking shoddy as fuck, but, like, they tend to prioritize the beauty of an individual frame over the beauty of the animation, which is why...
This is, like, the opposite of that.
Yeah, and, like, it's... But you don't have to have one or the other.
You know, the backgrounds were kind of amazingly good-looking in the show. Like, the entire... I was paying attention.
I thought the backgrounds looked good, though I did think that sometimes the text just being, like, a store just called, like, Demon or something...
I like that stuff. I get off to that shit.
I would have preferred they had more creative names for the things...
Yeah,
if I'm going to be reading all the text in the background, make sure it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail put in. But like, if you can't do an amazing animation cut for this one moment, just give us a great looking image. And there's one shot that's really great in the car when Angel Dust says something like, oh, they were a bunch of ugly fucking, what's the word he calls them, those babies? Harlequin babies.
Yeah, yeah,
You know about Harlequin babies?
No, I don't.
Look it up sometime, but don't show me.
Okay.
It's like one of the most disgusting things you can Google, basically.
Okay.
But he's saying, like, they're a bunch of Harlequin babies, and the shot is just of, like, him, like, laid out in the limo, but it's just a really well framed, really good looking shot.
Yeah.
Not a ton of animation happening, and I was like, anytime there's no animation, try to find a shot like this. But this is me, like, splitting hairs between, like, something that looks great and something that would look just even greater, you know?
Yep.
To even have accomplished this much is definitely nothing to scoff at all.
In the beginning of Joseph Anderson's review of Hollow Knight, he has this little spiel about, like, as if I were to review this as a pure piece of artwork, like, it's got this, and this fault, but we have to take into context that this game is like $15 fucking, and it's like one of the greatest games I've ever played. So, like, comparatively speaking, it's like the greatest game of all time per dollar. So, like, in that sense, like, this show is similar. I'm blown away by the amount of effort. But,
I mean, I'm thinking about, like, other animations that were hyped that came out and were not even close to this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, tons of net animations that had, like, you know, long ass hype cycles, and then it finally hits, and I was just like, yeah, all right. Like, I appreciate they put so much effort in, but, like, this is clearly not professional. This show could come on TV, and it would, even I, a very jaded viewer, would have been more interested in watching this than most of what would be
love
on,
to see the shit on, like, Adult Swim or something like that.
I would probably linger on the channel a lot sooner than I would, like, Ugly Americans or something. You know, like one of those other just Adult Swim shows that comes and goes, and the design looks fucking disgusting, and you're like, why would you even produce this?
Practical question, though. Like, is it even possible, sustainable that this show, like, proceeds in any way, considering, like, the effort that must be involved in producing it as it exists now?
As long as, you know, it had funding. I mean, assumably, because this was made as a pilot, so if they can sell this pilot... I mean, I don't know if they're going to have their numbers padded with a bunch of new animators, or if they're going to have to, I don't know what route they would want to go. I mean, what if like HBO wanted to pick it up for a 6-episode series or something and give them like a whole
I would love that.
amount of time to do it? You know, it could be, I don't know what they're going for.
I especially like the idea of not too many episodes, so they're forced to kind of condense the story.
Yeah.
Because my biggest fear about this is making it too many episodes and stretching out the story. Because I'm not impressed by most of the characters.
I guess that's why the first episode ending the way it did was disappointing. In the sense that you're talking about it, is that it feels like, and this episode 1 feels like the way it ends is meant to suggest this is a show that will go on forever.
Yes, it does.
Like, this is a show that will never ever end, because the episode ends with all the main characters going into the hotel, and this is where they're going to be. And like you said, comparing it to like Foster's or something, like that's what happens at the end of Foster's. They're all in Foster's. We are now going to follow these monsters forever. You know, and I mean, it's a hotel. People are only supposed to be there passing through, as she says.
Very true.
So maybe there could always be, and I mean, if this is more of an episodic show where like every episode they redeem a demon, that could maybe work.
I would love that.
That's
that would be my
impression
preference.
I really got. I got the impression it was going to be more like a Ranma 1/2 kind of show.
I agree.
You know, where like it's just about these zany characters hanging out. But I don't know. I also don't know if they want to even specify what it's supposed to be. Like,
I don't know if they know. I have no idea how much has been written beyond what we have right now, but I feel a deep attachment. Like, considering the fact that, like, the creator has, like, an Ask Me, like, she does some sort of, like, live stream with Angel Dust, and Angel Dust is the one being hinted at possibly being redeemed. Do we think Angel Dust is going to get redeemed and leave to heaven anytime soon?
No,
I don't think
not
so. I don't think so. But maybe other characters will. You know? I don't know. An Angel will just hang out as they cycle through. We get interesting stories every week. I don't know. But I would sure love to see more.
All right, well, we talked about this 30-minute cartoon for an hour. Where else can we find your endless spurging about shows?
Everything I do is on youtube.com/bestguyevershow. That's where I live, and that's where I breathe. Go watch my stuff there.
As well as the
Procrastinators, the Podcast. I was lying about that being the only channel I do. That was a vicious lie. I guess mostly it's the Podcast, the Procrastinators. My side channel, Bestie Boy. There you go. I made a video there the other day. Keep it funny, lads.
Are we posting this on my channel or your
channel? I don't know. Based on this outro, it's seeming like we're posting it on your channel.
All right, well, we'll assume it'll be on my channel, because I can throw the editing together tonight.
I wouldn't be able to do that, so yeah, all right.
All right, everybody.
See you in hell. I used to be that little boy.